they will be deployed by themselves, after we make the phone call, and that their supervising officer designated by their designated officer. But then once they come under us, then they are under our supervision.
Yeah.
What's the liability there?
Well, I mean, you have liability time. You have.
I want you to go cut down that tree, and then the tree falls on one of them.
Yeah.
Are we on the hook for that?
That's why you have insurance. Yeah.
So we have to. So they're providing the service, but we will have to insure the situation.
I don't see anything in here about insurance. That's what I was mentioning earlier. Indemnification insurance. So I usually have in contracts, but I don't know if this is really a contract. It simply says it's going to
Well, I don't think so. We've had.
It's going to be more like volunteers because it says no money
Yeah.
is going to be passing between the parties for any services. So.
It's also in times of emergency.
So let's just say they have chainsaws. Are we going to be supplying the gas? Would we supply the equipment for them as well, or they're going to bring their own stuff?
Well, I think
They're going to be fully self-contained.
Well, they do have a lot of trees too.
If we have a 747 land on Main Street, sure, we need every bit of help we can get, right?
I think a lot of cities hire volunteers, and this is a step above volunteers
Yeah.
because it's trained people. So I think you're better off. But is your insurance on the hook? It may be, but.
Well, I know in the past also that when we've had, Preston Colby had that emergency management thing.
Florida Public Safety.
Right, and everyone got certified, and he provided little kits and all this stuff, and there were the Citizens Response Team or something like
CERT.
that. CERT,
Right,
yes.
I'm a member of CERT.
So this is
Lakewood
kind of
Ranch.
like a step above CERT.
Yes.
So anyway, I whatever help we can get, I think is great.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the same as with CERT. You don't insure them either, but
Right.
if there's a claim, then your insurance will have to cover it. So.
We're assuming that they're all trained with the equipment and all, so it's not
Yes.
like they're going to be sending their 12-year-old to
No.
assist. Okay.
Yeah, I actually know the previous president of this organization. I think a lot of it is based out of South Florida, Broward County, and I know that most of them are professional firefighters, and they're just here to help anybody and everybody, and I think this would be a great opportunity. Plus, like you said, in the one occasion, the contract says it's a 30-day out clause, so if we have the issues in the future, we can always just pull it, but I don't see that happening.
I agree.
All right. Well, with that, I'll be looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve item number E16, Florida State Firefighters Association Mutual Aid Agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Seeing none, we'll call the roll.
Councilmember Gray.
Yes.
Councilmember Spurlock.
Yes.
Councilmember Sutherland.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bernard.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, council members.
Thank you. Item number 17, Councilmember Spurlock, Malls and Parks.
Most of mine's been covered. But,
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
I still
to
want
it?
to say that the actions on the mall is pitiful at best. That's how I feel about that. And my frustration level is just about to right here. I asked for a letter to the insurance carrier on the Bricker building weeks ago. I don't know what the payment is on that. I'm just going to go through these, David. I don't have an answer on that. I asked for the amount that we were paying in city taxes to the county that was allocated for public safety to the sheriff. I don't have that.
Mr. Helms is almost through with that.
Okay, well, that's good. I didn't bring my list tonight because that's my fault, but I want you to be prepared because at the next meeting you gave me a list of every city employee and the pay grade. I want to know if all of those positions are filled and what we're paying those people. And why can't we get the right-of-ways cleaned up in Avon Park? I mean, you and I had a little private conversation and you told me we needed another clam truck. If that's still the situation, we need to start putting some people in the ribs about let's maybe looking at that, because I get a complaint all the time. I felt like it was going to be a fresh breath of air when Maria and I got elected to this council. And from my point of view, It's business as usual. Nothing's changed in this city. I'm gonna go on, and if you take my finger not being pointed at you, turn it around and put it between your shoulders and get something done about what I'm grumbling about, and the street signs are still crooked from, I almost venture to say, Hurricane Charley. But the biggest problem with that is because we have no policing in the neighborhoods. And I'll be quiet with that. I know you got your hands full, but that's where I want to go. It's that mall is what everybody looks at in this town, and that ought to be the thing that you jump on. It ought to be in first class #1 shape right now, and you ought to be getting compliments every day as to how good that looks instead of how crappy it looks. I mean, it hurts me. I know it's hurting you, and I want you to please straighten that up.
I
To
think
imply
what could
that I
help, just as if I can say, what would help is if we had a maintenance plan. You know, I mean, if we're only reacting to certain things, then that's a problem. But, you know, we have several landscape people in town that would be, I think, more than happy to provide, okay, fertilize here, trim then, you know, make sure you do this, fertilize it there, you know, have some kind of a thing that employees can follow. That way, it's kind of foolproof. You know we need to go trim the suckers off of the crepe myrtles. We know not to do this or do that. Anyway, those are just little simple fixes, I think, that would help at least alleviate.
That's a good idea,
big
but you
component
could
of
definitely
the
run
problem.
water every night.
But of the trees that are there, some of
Yeah.
those can be, you know, trimmed now or whatever. I don't know. I just think that if we did have some kind of a master maintenance plan for the mall, since we do know, by the way, it used to have over 1,200 shrubs and trees. I think there's less than 50 varieties now.
Yeah.
Everything has died off. And that's climate, you know, but we don't have a master plan. It's a hit and miss. Let's just go mow this. Let's just go trim that when you see it. But if it was something that was in an actual plan, then you know you could schedule the workers. It wouldn't be an issue of we don't have staff, because now you can actually plan for it. So I just think that that would be helpful. I'm just saying, you know, pull weeds on certain days of the month, because I know we have that issue as well. But, you know, I tend to agree with you, Stanley, that it could be better, but I've also said that that's just a moving target. It's an animal, it's a beast to take care of it, but if we do have a plan and someone actually, you know, we need a tree hugger. We need an employee that absolutely loves to do that kind of work. And oftentimes, you know, it's mostly noticed in the evening or on the weekends or something like that. And, you know, I just think that we need someone that really, really cares about the mall and the way it appears, and, you know, treating it as though it's their own.
And it's not only just the mall, it's a maintenance, that's a good idea, a maintenance plan for the entire city,
Yeah.
within the
Right.
city.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like agree, and I have contacted David and showed him, taken pictures for people that complain to me about certain areas, and it's been taken care of. So, but if we had a plan that on certain days you're gonna mow Cummings Avenue, because what has happened on Cummings Avenue is that the city cut down the trees and they put them there, and they sit there. Then they come down, they cut them down again, and they sit there again. But then no one mows it, and the limbs are all brown now, and it's just horrible looking.
I'm sure David wants to respond.
Yeah, I know. I don't want a response now because, you know, I know he doesn't whenever I ask him to, so.
I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to respond right now.
No.
It bothers me deeply that I've been here for 5 months and you're implying that nothing's done. That bothers me.
That's what now?
You're implying that nothing has been done in 5 months that I've
Talking
been
about
here.
the mall, that's where my biggest is at.
And I've told you, and I'm going to tell you again and again and again, that right now, to meet the current mowing needs, not weeding, not trimming, not watering, the current mowing needs, I'm 4 men short. Now, that's not my fault. I can't hire people that weren't budgeted. Ricky and Brenda both are trying to find ways around this. We may have a solution on this to where we can get it up to a full workforce this summer. That's a possibility. But I'm not trying to pass the buck here and say that I'm not going to do anything, because that's not it at all. I recognize what the needs are, and I have been addressing them. Believe me, brother, I have been addressing them, and I'm trying my best for there. But please don't imply that nothing has been done in 5 months, because that offends me.
Do we still have the inmates?
Yes,
Do they still mow?
4 days a week.
Are they mowing?
On
I mean,
27.
do they maintain? Do they still do maintenance, or are they out painting or doing other stuff?
They're only mowing right now.
So, okay, if we're 4 men short, then how did it get mowed in the past? How did it get maintained in the past?
It
For the
did,
past 7 years, it's been behind.
Yeah.
You haven't been able to get up there because the employees have been cut and cut and cut, all in the name of saving money.
If
And
I
it's
may-
going to cost you money to get it back up to where it needs to be.
If I may interject on that item, a couple years ago, the people from the prison did the entire mall area. And a couple years ago, we brought up the fact that it wasn't taken care of well as the water and the sprinkler system. And at that time, the decision was made that we would use city employees, where we got them from or whatever, to do the mowing and the edging or whatever, and we would just use the prison people to do 27 others. So we had to pull people occasionally to take care of the mall area, but we didn't have anybody permanently to replace them, because nothing was done to replace them. It was basically just, we'll get rid of this group here, and we'll throw in a couple here once in a while, and we'll throw some mulch out there, we'll turn the speakers on for a couple months, and if it doesn't rain this summer, then it's not my fault. But so that's, we're behind the ball on that issue, and it's probably because of the fact that we counted on saving money by using the prison people who didn't do a sufficient job that made it look good enough for people to accept. And we didn't have the manpower that they tried to put out there, because it wasn't put in the budget. So, you know, I agree that's not your fault, and obviously, if you can find money from that budget, what we talked about before, please find a way to get 1 or 2 people. But if not, then I understand we have a situation that we both aren't happy with here. Our people, our citizens, as well as you being able to do the job that you would like to do. And so I'm willing to give you the leeway, because I know that you'll get it done eventually. And obviously, for Stanley's point of view, let's get it done sooner than later.
David, we used to have, and Jim, I don't know if you were around at the time, but we had a company that maintained all the right-of-ways. The ones that
they
were
never
paid
have.
for.
That's never happened. The city right-of-ways have never fully been maintained ever in the history of Avon Park.
Well, I'm talking about Highway 27, those were maintained.
So there was
Those
a
were
handful.
mowed. And
Got
the
it.
mall, they mowed the mall, and they
Okay.
mowed Memorial. I'm
So
not
the
saying
main-
all of
the
them.
main thoroughfares is what you're saying.
Right, the main thoroughfares, and I think it was under 30,000. It would be incredibly higher than that now with insurance and other stuff. But they mowed every week, they maintained every week, and on the weeks where they didn't mow, then they pulled weeds and that sort of a thing. That was cheaper than hiring 4 staff. I mean, they had their own people because they had other jobs. But that might be an option that we
Yeah,
can look at
in the
again,
future.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
just saying, you know, it's something you have to get some estimates on and stuff, and then just designate what areas you're talking about.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we actually have a local companies here that I think would be willing to do that. And I know that they would do it at a fair price, because I know that they're very proud. I know one company that's very proud to be a business person in Avon Park, and they do large projects, which they call their showcase projects. And they make sure, because I've actually dealt with them and dealt with contracts with them, and I can tell you one, but it doesn't matter, but I lowered their contract by $400 or $500 a month, and it stayed that way for the whole time I was there, because they were willing to take less money, because they wanted people that drove by that big piece of property and say they did it, and look how good it is, and people brag about it. So there are businesses in Avon Park that would give us that type of a price, I think, or better, just so they can say they showcase the mall area and thank God we hired them. So that's something we can look at in the future. And I actually know we talked about the other day, that one business that looks like they're getting ready to grow some more. So I think that they would be happy to assist us.
Yeah,
and
you'd
then-
still have to put it out to bid no matter
Oh,
what you did, so.
Absolutely, but I'm always first giving business to people.
Absolutely,
in
and we
Avon
do
Park
have a
if
local
possible.
preference when it comes to
Yes.
our procurement policy, so.
But those options will come to us, but.
Yeah, but our budget is gonna kick in just a few months, if not
well,
sooner,
then
so
we're
that
gonna-
might be the
we're gonna have
opportunity to
make
start
some
talking.
Tough changes then.
I think Jim's right in that there has been a lot of great programs that were attempted over the past several years. Most of them got derailed by previous administrations. They were outright hostile towards many great things that could have been done, but the overall killer of progress and maintenance in Avon Park will always be money. We've probably pulled out, I don't know, over $1 million worth of annual income between lowering our millage so low and taking about $100 out of our fire assessment for the average home. So you got to weigh the cost of what are you willing to pay for. For the right amount of taxation, we can make all of Avon Park look like the most beautiful country club in the world, but you're never going to pay that much in taxes. Every bit of this budget was done by a previous administration to David. He wasn't around when it was done. In the past 5 months, I think he's done a hell of a job. I think he does a hell of a job every day for this town. He will continue to do so. You will not see real change like I think what you're wanting to see until the next budget time. The fact that you're aggravated that things have not changed immediately after being elected, I get it, Stanley. I've been there. I don't know if you know whenever I was elected, but things didn't really go my way, brother.
Hey, I am totally,
frustration.
I am totally aware of that, but by God, you can turn the water on every night. That's where I'm at.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
That's
But
all I'm saying.
Day by day, step by step. And don't ever hesitate to pick up the phone and call your employee that works for the council, your city manager,
Exactly.
I do
and
call
let
them.
them know. You don't have to wait till a meeting time to tell them. You can tell them every daggum day of the week.
And actually, we can't turn water on every night.
There's regulations.
That's right. We're regulated after how often we can use it.
Right. But I know how bad it once was, and I know that it's better now than it was, and I know that it will continue to be better every day in the future. But you won't see the real huge changes until the next budget. Now, with that comes, if you want more money, if you want things to be better, you got to spend more money. If you want more money, you got to have more taxes.
Yep.
Either that or you have to have more businesses or more families moving here, things like that. So it comes at a cost. So I just urge you to consider the cost before you make statements like that. Anyway, anything else on malls and parks? All right, let us change this recording CD and we'll get right to the question.